My recording. There we go. Everyone accept. Hello, my fabulous friends. I am Katie Schibler Conn, which some of you know me, and some of you don't, and some of you maybe watching online you don't know. I'm the crazy, chaotic founder of an agency called KSA Marketing. I like to describe myself as a hot mess and a master. I like to cause a lot of chaos. And with that comes an awful lot of oh shit moments. And so I have been doing marketing more decades than I care to admit. I inherently love marketing. And I inherently love working with clients and talking with students or talking with parents, whatever it is about, what is the marketing moments that keep them up at night. And we get a lot of questions like that. So that's why we started doing in the spring what we're calling KSA Live. And this is our OSHA Q&A. So if you don't know that about KSA, we help growing organizations go from oh shit to hell yeah. I like to say that KSA stands for kick some ass. And we get you to that hell yeah with results that matter. Now, what we have found and I've had my own agency for 15 years now, shockingly. Wendy knows me way back from when I went through the Goldman Sachs program. And I was like an itty bitty firm, or baby firm then. But what I have learned that is common, I don't care if you're the biggest brands in the world or a side hustle that a student created and is doing to pay for college. The foundation of marketing is often ignored. We forget about it. And then we make it overly complicated because we can get this tech stack and we can, do this activity and we forget to connect all the dots. And when we connect all the dots, that's how we go from oh shit to hell yeah. So that's a little bit about me. I figure we'll take just a couple minutes here, introduce ourselves. You can share a little bit about yourself and what you do if you want, or you can just say, "Hi, my name's Katie." I'll allow Sherry to introduce herself. She's my co-pilot
All
here
right.
for the day.
Thank you, Katie. So I am the Director of Business Development at KSA. I've been here almost 4 months now. And in true Rhode Island fashion, I know Wendy from a past life when I worked in the public sector. And Madeline is, I'm going to call her a marketing maven because she does an incredible job at Junior Achievement of Rhode Island, which I proudly serve on the board. So
Mhm.
I am here as Katie's right hand for the day. And
Yeah.
then I'll kick it
Keep
over to
me on
Wendy.
track. Wendy, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Mackey. I own a consulting company called Two Bridges. I work a fair amount with Fab Newport in Rhode Island right now, and we are partners with Junior Achievement and excited about that opportunity upcoming. Um, my background is really certainly with Sherry, certainly with Katie, but really the intersection of workforce development, youth development, and state systems, and where those things meet and how they connect and how they speak to each other and how they leverage each other and connect.
We fell in love, Wendy and I fell in love doing the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, of which I know Secure Future, right, Jess? You guys are an alum as well, which was transformative for my business and my progress as a leader. But Wendy and I fell in love over this word workforce development. And that was the beginning of a long storied history. I'm going to go to you next. Do I say Madeline? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Madeline. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Madeline Corrado. I am the marketing manager at Junior Achievement of Rhode Island, which some of you are familiar with. And my background is a lot of marketing in the nonprofit space, which is very like a niche field. So yeah,
Great.
excited to be here. Yeah.
Very excited to have you. And my daughter's name is Madeline. Her first name, slight difference. My daughter's middle name is also actually legitimately legally danger. I love seeing the name Madeline on my screen here,
Oh,
even though it's slightly different spelling. And Jessica, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I work for Secure Future Tech. I am their client engagement manager, which means I just do a lot of what Sherry does, get out there, meet people, network. And I'm always interested. I work very closely here with the marketing manager, and we're always interested in new information and kind of getting perspective, especially in a really kind of distrustful kind of business environment right now. So I'm want to
You said
talk,
it.
I want to talk a little bit about how to build trust in this kind of a situation. And this trust is so important. So, but also getting people's attention. There's this balancing act between providing information and being a snore and getting people's attention. So that's
Well,
what
that is, it's almost like you knew why you were coming today, which I don't even know if you knew. So that's what we're here today to talk about, is I call it the oh shit to hell yeah process. So, before I dive in, this is not a presentation, this is an interactive conversation. But I want to say it is budget season. So, if for most organizations, we are in October. Most organizations are generally on a calendar fiscal, and they're looking forward to their next year budget. Or even if they're not in calendar fiscal, they might be looking at, okay, it's 6 months into my fiscal, and where do I start getting ready for next year? Because other people are approaching them with opportunities because they're on an annual budget scene. So I also like to say it's panic season. So if you're in the advertising marketing space, this is about when people are like, oh shit, I am not going to hit those numbers or those goals that I set out to achieve this year. Or, oh shit, like I've exceeded my numbers and now I have some extra investment and I want to know how I invest in it. Or nothing's working or everything's working. And it just is, I find like this time of year in particular, maybe it's the weather's yo-yoing. We're in second summer here in Rhode Island. So whether you're hot flashing or you're just sweating because it's second summer, that's my life. With budget season and oh shit moments, I find this is where all the panic comes. So you're probably, to Jessica's point, when we're looking at what has been the chaos that is 2025, as far as business goes, from what I hear from most founders, from most marketers, is they're being asked to do more with less resources, less budget, and in an extremely complicated, changing, shifting landscape. And especially what we see a lot of people facing, what had been working is no longer working. So is there something that's keeping you guys up as you're sitting here looking at panic season in the peak of oh shit? This is when my adrenaline comes. I'm up all night right now as we're launching campaigns and getting everything going. Is there one burning question that you're like, if I could solve, this would set me up? Or whatever you were going to say, your biggest oh shit moment. Wendy, go right ahead. It looked like you had something to
Well,
say.
you had said, something that's kind of burning, a burning issue. And I think right now in nonprofits in general, because of the funding structure of everything, it's just all upside down.
Yeah.
And people just don't know where the next dollar is going to come from. So thinking about cultivating donors, which is a part of marketing in the nonprofit world, the money is tight. Annual appeal is coming up, in a month. It needs to be ready to go out the door. And organizations spend a lot of money on an annual appeal mailing. And I think there's probably other ways that we can be thinking about our marketing dollars that are maybe different, new, better.
Mhm. I think that is a great a perfect example of the oh shits that especially I hear this a lot from our nonprofit partners. And unfortunately, in with the budgets being as upside down as they are, and organizations being cash flow strapped, in particular for nonprofits, you do need to start thinking about it differently, because the cost to do that mailing is a real cost. And when you layer on the the time, and then the mail, and then, what is the ROI when you look at it at the end of last year versus what you expect maybe the ROI to be this year, can be really complicated. And I like to believe that when everyone's going, oh shit, that there's a huge opportunity to break away from the pack. If ever there was a perfect storm to experiment and try something differently, now is that moment, because no one is going to judge. And just because that's the way you've done it for the past decade doesn't mean you need to continue to do that anymore. So I'm going to use that maybe as like a great example, as like if you don't mind, Wendy, and we'll go through a little bit of what I like to encourage people to think about, especially as you're looking at those budget dollars. Madeline, Jessica, anything else, or are you good if I lean into what Wendy's sort of point was?
Yeah, Wendy's point is really on point, with, Giving Tuesday in November coming up. It's like, how do we stand out from all of the nonprofits? And I think it's like, yeah, it's great if we can lean into that.
And privacy, I think, is a real problem. It's something that is getting underestimated right now in the nonprofit sector. So, Giving Tuesday, I think the playbook, from what I've observed, has been, I'm going to launch a bunch of emails. I'm going to put some social media posts out there. I'm going to send text messages. Maybe I'm going to have a phone bank. And people have gotten really good at blocking all those messages. And on top of it, you've got what? How many? We've probably got to have what, 5,000 plus nonprofits just in the tiny state of Rhode Island. And all of those nonprofits are doing the exact same thing. So when you're in the noise, breaking out from that pack is really hard. You have to show up so that you can get what you want from Giving to Tuesday. But probably the biggest advice I would have is, hell yeah, for any nonprofit, might be looking beyond Giving Tuesday and thinking, what else can I do that is going to break out from the pack? So I'm going to share just a few visuals, because I'm a marketer. We don't know how to talk without visuals. Let's see if that goes, and let's see. Hopefully, can you see my screen? No, you can't see my screen. See, this is why I should not be the tech person. Share. Can you see anything? What is it? Where's my visual?
You can see it.
I can see it.
You
I
can
just see a lot
you
of
see the
screen.
slides.
Yeah.
Can you see slides? We
Yes.
can do this.
Yeah.
This is where the video always gets
There you
awkward.
go.
So
You got
I'm
it.
You're all
awkward.
set.
Okay, I am inherently awkward. Okay, so who, what, where? This is what we all need to remember. Who are you trying to reach? What do we want them to do? And where are we going to intersect them? Where can we find them? And what happens is people forget that, and they focus on just the who, or they focus on just the what, or they focus on just the where. So I'm going to use Giving Tuesday as the perfect example. People get really crazy about Giving Tuesday. That's a great example of what we want people to participate in Giving Tuesday. We need donors to participate in Giving Tuesday. How many nonprofits do you think are targeting the exact same people on Giving Tuesday with the exact same message? A few? More than one? Thousands?
All of them.
All of them? They're all doing the same thing. Where do you think that they're all participating with that same message, targeting the same thousands of donors who right now don't have a hope and a prayer and are currently scrounging through their cushions to find a quarter to be able to buy, you know, a 1/16 of a pizza slice. You know, where are they looking for that? They're looking on social media, they're looking on email, they're looking on you know, the text messages and stuff. So when there's a lot of noise hanging out in the same what and the same wheres, your opportunity is to break out, and you have to break out by making that connection. And you can make that connection by really being very, very specific with a very, very specific message targeting to one who. Maybe you forget about the 5,000 donors that you've had in the past, and you look at your donor list, and you look at particularly at your Giving Tuesday list, and you say, who are the people that I want 100 more of this year? And that may not be your biggest donors that you got on Given Tuesday, because you may not be able to repeat those biggest donors. But what are the donors that shared the story and brought other donors, or you know, came back, continued to show up throughout the year beyond Giving Tuesday? That would be what the pattern is that I'm looking for as I'm going into Giving Tuesday, is you've got to figure out how to break out. And the first thing I would start with is looking at the analysis. The other way to look at a who for Giving Tuesday would be, who do we not have? Who do we need more of? If we had, you know, junior achievement, I think, like, I come to mind like educators, right? Are educators the ones that are your donors? I don't know. But if we have more educators listening to our story and sharing our story, does that elevate the mission of junior achievement? Your case, Wendy, with Fab Newport, do you need more teens? I swear to God, every teenager right now has a side hustle. Like, I'm not, this is crazy. They all have credit cards. They all have things. And maybe they are an audience who gets ignored on Giving Tuesday, who might be an audience that could really activate and unlock a different, if you leaned into the audience that you're serving and you spoke to them in preparation for Giving Tuesday and set a goal of, maybe we can get 100 teens to not buy two Starbucks and give us $10. What would that story look like? And then that creates the foundation for teens giving back, and teens earning while they learn, and teens fueling an ecosystem of what is all the awesomeness that is Fab Newport. So if you look at anything that you're doing through those three lenses, who, what, where, and it sounds so simple, but it's so hard, because if you're thinking about what we want them to do, where we want to reach them, and who it is, and just keep on going lower and lower and more specific, and it becomes a swirl of, let's see here, how you get your audience clarity, what you want them to do. Do we really want everyone to just participate in Giving Tuesday, or do we want them to just skip their Starbucks on Giving Tuesday, or skip their Starbucks for the week so that maybe they can give an extra $20? That is one way you can participate in a broader movement with a specific call to action that becomes accessible, and a plan to beware. If everyone is sending emails and everyone is sending text messages and everyone is on social media, maybe you need to blast Reddit. You know, I'm just saying, like, look at a channel or an audience where a lot of people aren't hanging out on Giving Tuesday. Maybe it is showing up at the mall and going in person and having a table, like, you know, just canvass the state in person, because everyone's doing it online, and make some noise that way. The key on the where is, be intentional about where you want to be, and look at it as a way to break out from the pack, because everyone else is going to be doing similar activities. That, and it's similar for you, Jessica, with your services too, because, you know, unfortunately, I think in your space, a lot of people are trying to play the game on pricing, cost savings, resources. But you talked about trust. Trust is huge, especially if you're talking about like IT infrastructure, cybersecurity, things along those lines. I don't know. I'm old school. I don't want to call a help desk. I want to call and know that I'm talking to a human being and that human being like remembers what my business is, and that can set you apart. Maybe if there's 10,000 businesses in the market for your services, you don't need all 10,000. You just need the 100 that really want good people who trust and care and give a shit. And how do you find those common denominators? So when we focus on and we have the clarity on the audience, and we have clarity on what we want them to do, and we have a plan on where we can reach them, that's how you get to repeatable results. And that, my friends, is how you can go from oh shit to hell yeah. We forget those basics. We look at like last year's creative on something like Giving Tuesday, and we forget about the context of what's going on in the world. And we just repeat and we just do all the things because it worked last year. But has everything you've been doing this year worked the same way it did the year before? Probably not. What is moving the needle? Borrow from those opportunities and look at ways that you can flip it upside down and break shit apart. Because when we break shit, that's when you get all that clarity. Does that make sense?
Nice. Yes.
Wendy, what do you think? Can we get teens to be your biggest donors?
Well, I love what you said. You flipped it on its head. Like I'm thinking, oh, because we serve some of the young people, like the wages that we pay them for their work-based learning is sometimes helping to feed the family, So these are the young people that we're serving. But I've so many times seen the young people walk in with a Dunkin' Donuts in their hand, and I love the idea of what can you give up for a week, a month, to help give back to what makes you happy, what helps sustain you. I think that's brilliant. And when you think again about the Giving Tuesday, like, well, and thinking about Giving Tuesday or any day like that, narrowing down, okay, so if we're only getting $10 from 100 people, it's really not about the money, as you were saying. It's about the story that you can tell afterwards that actually attracts the people that have the money.
Right. That is what people forget about Giving Tuesday. They contribute to the noise and they set these unrealistic goals on donors, but everyone's doing that. How do you participate, break out, and bring some people along that's give you a foundation and an opportunity for the long term is the smarter strategy. When everyone's going left, find a way to go right. Doesn't mean you don't go. We all got to do it. Every business is having to do that right now. Every organization, if you're looking at your marketing budget and it's getting slashed, okay, what other resources do we have? What can we give up? Maybe we just need to talk to all our vendors and form a coalition and we can all market each other and, like our content on social media or say, I'll do my best to refer people your way. You do your best to refer my place my way. The more that nonprofits and the little guys and small organizations, and even if you're in a big organization, you find those allies that are going to help you guys achieve. I worked at a very large organization, global organization, and we were always told, how do we figure out how to get done what we need to get done with someone else's money in the company. OPM, other people's money. So how do we achieve our department's goals by getting the money from the other departments? So you could be in massive organizations and you still have no budget. You just got to get scrappy. When we get scrappy, we get shit done. And that's when you can get scalable results. So That's the oh shit to hell yeah. That's my quick spiel. I do my best to keep this at 25 minutes or less. If you want to jump off, you can jump off, or we can keep on going. Madeline, did that help you? Like, have you looked at your Giving Tuesday like plans through a very different lens, maybe?
Yeah, so you are right. Like nonprofits, we kind of just like, oh, this worked last year. Let's just kind of do it again this year. But I think this year we can do something different, especially like really focusing on the food,
Yeah.
just because that gets lost, right? We want to reach as many people as possible, but if we really narrow down the who and be strategic about it, we'll be able to get those who to really become people that are taking X and Y action that we're asking them to take. So yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad it was helpful. Yeah, the who, everyone gets that wrong. And you're serving a million who's. We all do. I'll send out, you guys will get some worksheets associated with this. And we have a great worksheet for narrowing down your who that will come on an email shortly. And if you need help trying to drill in, don't hesitate, reach out. We can walk you through that because if you get that who right, and even if you get it wrong, but as long as you get it specific enough and you figure out how you can measure the impact of that who and you put them through who, what, where, that's what we always do when we launch. When we take a client and they've got a campaign or they've got a budget that they're spending on an advertising campaign, my first thing that I like to spend the middle of the night analyzing is what does all that audience data show me? And who might not be getting talked to. And if someone's getting ignored, that might be a viable audience. Can we set aside some budget just to go after that one little audience over here and do an experiment, and see if we can move the needle? And if we can move the needle, that's awesome. And even if we don't move the needle, we prove that that's not a great audience, or it wasn't the right tactic, or, wasn't the right message. We weren't specific in what we wanted them to do. Keep it super simple. Don't make it super complicated. That's my advice. Jessica, was that helpful for you as you think
It,
about
it
trust?
was, it was. I like the idea of the coalition, and I think that we realize that, between the privacy, email deliverability, some of the old tactics aren't working.
No.
And then if you're going to build trust, if you can get some face time with people, it's really a great way to, maybe start a networking situation where somebody might refer you, because referrals really, if we looked at our clients that we have landed this year, a lot of them are referrals.
So
So,
then I would look at that referral list you have of clients and
yeah,
find out which organizations that are referring you who might have an event that you can sponsor.
it's a great idea. It's a great
Um,
idea.
You will get more ROI supporting your clients, and it may be that they are just involved with an organization. We all serve on a million boards.
Yeah,
Just because they're at a private organization doesn't mean that they don't have a nonprofit that they're part of. And can you sponsor that organization for your client instead of sending out a mailer? Because the mailer may not be working, because people, let's face it, like some of those addresses, like people open up the mail, it's getting opened up by other organizations, other people.
other people, and they're just told to, scrape off this amount, and it never hits anything but the trash
Yeah.
can. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I hear you.
Hmm. There
So
you go.
there's a lot to think about.
Good. Well, that's my 30 minutes.
Thank you.
Go forth, kick some ass. Thank you for joining. We are live. We do this every single second Tuesday of the month at 11:30 a.m. On the East Coast. I would love to see you back. Send your friends. And if there's any oh shit moments that have you burning, don't hesitate to reach out. We love it.
okay.
Knock 'em dead on Giving Tuesday.
Thank
Good
you.
Thank
luck.
you.
Okay.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
guys.
much. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.